Hello everyone, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I have the pleasure of showcasing one of my newest stamp sets. This is the Handmade From Me stamp set and also the hand-stitched rectangle dies. So here's the stamp set. This is a really fun stamp set. I designed this in intention that you could be able to customize the backs of your cards and envelopes, and you can also use it for the front of your cards as well. Here we got the stitched rectangle dies. These are hand-stitched rectangles that are made to look like they are hand-stitched. I'm going to be using them today for my panels. I'm cutting some watercolor paper. I'm going to be creating a set of cards. Here you can see that stitching up close and how it's very close to the edge of the cardstock, which is nice. And it also isn't in a straight line, which adds a little bit of a fun and handmade feel. For my watercoloring, I'm going to be using some Prima Watercolor Confections paints. This is the Classics set, and this has 12 colors in the set. I'm going to be painting some hearts onto my watercolor paper here. This is a relatively simple shape to paint, so this is why I've chosen to go ahead and use a heart for today's tutorial. I'm going to be painting the heart into the center of each of these pieces of watercolor paper, and then I'm going to start adding some texture and extra color to this heart by dropping in some of the other colors that are included in this paint set. So here I'm just taking some darker pink and I'm just dropping that around my little heart, making sure I get all the edges nice and clean. And then I'll go ahead and start adding in some purples and blues and really start to add some layer to this watercoloring. I'm going to keep dropping those in and blending them out with my water and just keep adding color until I have the heart to the color saturation and texture that I'm looking for. Once I have that one all painted, I'm moving on to the second one. I'm going to do all of them the exact same way. I'm changing up the colors slightly, but I'm using the same color types such as blue, purple, pink, and red. I'm not adding any other colors in other than those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly paint the rest of my hearts and let you watch, and then I will come back in a couple minutes when we go on to the next step of the card process. Had all of the watercoloring all finished, I went ahead and let them air dry, and that took quite a bit of time because I did add a lot of water and heavy pigment to these watercolor papers. So it did take a little bit of time to dry, but I just let them sit there and finish up drying, and then I came in with some more of my watercolor paints, and now I'm adding some splatters. You could totally skip this step if you want a more clean look, but I like the look of splatters because they add a little bit more of a hand-painted and fun feel to your design. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that to all of my little watercolor panels here. I'm going to have a total of 3, and I'll just keep adding those in. Technically, I did have a 4th one, but I ended up getting a gigantic paint splatter on it. After I had done the process of painting and adding the paint splatters and everything, I ended up messing up the 4th one. So I only ended up with 3, but I did intend to make a set of 4 cards. Alright, so after I've gotten all my watercoloring done, I also watercolored a panel of just plain cardstock, and I just added all sorts of color all over, the same kind of color combinations that I used on the hearts. And after I let that dry as well, I die cut that using a heart die, which is from the Sketched Elephants die. It's the die set that coordinates with the Sketched Elephants stamp set, which came out yesterday. It's one of my other new stamp designs. You can head on over to my blog to find more information on that. There's also products listed over at my blog as well if you're interested in those. But I'm just going to pop all these little hearts up onto the big hearts that we painted, and that's going to add a little bit of extra dimension and interest to our card. So here I've got the Handmade From Me stamp set, and I'm going to be stamping my sentiments onto this using some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I'm using my Misty stamping tool, and as you can see, I didn't stamp that completely the first time, but with the Misty, you can easily go ahead and re-stamp things, making sure that you get the same placement every single time. So I'm going to repeat that for all of the sentiments that I ended up creating. Here I've got another one. This one says a little card full of kindness. And then I'll go ahead and stamp the last one, which says handmade for you with love. So once I did all of that, I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss those with some clear embossing powder. I didn't show that step, but that's pretty relatively simple. And then I'm taking some Wink of Stella glitter brush pen, and I'm going to add some glitter over top of all of my watercoloring. And I really love doing this to add a little bit of shimmer and shine to these hearts. Because the hearts are such the focal point of the card, it really adds some nice pop and interest to the design and really makes those hearts stand out. So here are all of our watercolor panels all finished. I just love how they turned out. They were so much fun to create. And I hope this has given you inspiration on doing some hand painting of your own. It's relatively simple. Start off with easy shapes such as hearts, and you can really create some fun and fantastic cards. If you're interested in any of the products I used today, such as the Handmade by Me stamp set and the hand-stitched rectangles, be sure to head on over to my blog. I've got more information on that, and there's also guest designers that are going to be showcasing these products as well over at the Whimsy Stamp blog. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And here's another video you might be interested in featuring easy watercoloring techniques. You can find me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube, so be sure to connect with me, and I will see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching!